Hello everybody, AJ Ryzik here, and today another Linux tutorial. Today we are going to look at how to install the Unity desktop on Arch Linux. Now, a lot of people who are currently running Arch, back in the day when they were new to the Linux world, they started out with Ubuntu and of course used Unity. Now, Unity seems to be one of those desktops where there's a love-hate relationship. In my case, it's kind of both. There's a lot that I like about Unity, and then there's a few things that just drive me batty. But anyway, there's a lot of people that they got used to working with Unity, and then they moved eventually to Arch, and they had to change their workflow a bit so that they could go to whether it's GNOME or KDE or whatever desktop environment. Point being that it is possible to install Unity. The people that liked using Unity could go back to using it if they so wish to, and still be able to run Arch and have all the bleeding edge packages that Arch provides. So that being said, you can see on my desktop here I have Unity running, and for the most part it's been fairly stable. I have had a couple of crashes, a couple of apps that have crashed, but it's been a case of like I was working with the file manager and it crashed on me, and it was just a matter of simply starting it back up. So stability wise, I think it's probably about where Plasma 5 is right now. It's not perfect, but it's pretty good. And like I said, if you're the kind of person that like the way your workflow runs through Unity, this gives you the opportunity to run Unity on top of Arch. So let's talk a little bit about how I did this installation. First of all, obviously you have to install Arch Linux. Now you could do a traditional install, or you could do like what I did and use the Architect installer. Now, if you're not familiar with Architect, it is an installer for Arch. Runs on the command line. It kind of walks you through the steps. Very easy to work with. Greatly simplifies the installation of Arch Linux. And here is this is the Google Plus community page for Architect. I'll leave a link for this down below. All kinds of community support and information, all that kind of stuff, if you want to check that out. Also, I did a video not too long ago on how to do the installation via Architect. I'll leave a link for that as well, and you can take a look at that. But like I said, it makes the installation process very easy. So anyway, when I'm doing the installation, when it came to installing a desktop environment, rather than a full desktop, because obviously Unity is not officially supported by Arch, what I did was install a simple Openbox Window Manager. So I had the very basics of a graphical installation, and then also for logging in, I installed lightdm Display Manager. Like I said, that gave me the very basics of a graphical environment, while at the same time it doesn't use up a whole lot of resources. So after doing that install, booted into that Openbox session, and then from that point I installed Firefox and gedit, which just open up the terminal, do sudo pacman-s firefox gedit. That will install those two utilities. Gave me access to the internet, and then also a text editor, which you will need for completing this installation. Okay, so that now that we've gotten to that point, and we've got those things installed, we've got a couple of repositories that are going to need to be added so that we can do this installation, and I've got them listed here. Once again, I'll put this down below in the video description. But we're going to install a repo called Unity-for-Arch, and then also one Unity-for-Arch Extras. extras is, kind of as the description would suggest. It's some extra stuff that you may want for running Unity. Okay, so we're going to install those. Now, if you're not familiar with installing or adding repositories in Arch Linux, it's actually fairly simple. You have a pacman configuration file, and that's where your repos are listed, and you're going to want to edit that. So open up your terminal. Oop. Sorry about that. Anyway, where was I at? Oh yeah. Okay, we're going to open up a terminal. So I've got, as you see, I've got Quake installed, so I got a drop-down terminal. Anyway, so you're going to open up your terminal, and you're going to need root privileges. So sudo gedit, and then the config file, and it'll ask you for your password. And as you see, that opens up gedit with that pacman configuration file. Now, if you scroll on down, you see down here list all of your repositories. And what you're going to want to add, and I've got them listed over here in my little notes right here, you're going to want to add, basically everything that I've got right here. Just copy and paste it right on in. And, looking at my my configuration file here, you can see that I've got it right down here, Unity-for-Arch and Unity-for-Arch extras, installed those. Go and save the file, and then close on out of that. So after saving all of that, we're going to go and update our repository database. So sudo pacman-syy. Once again, just put that into your terminal there, and it'll sync all your package databases. And now you're ready to install. Now, basically everything that is in the Unity-for-Arch repository, which is the first of these two repositories, we're going to install. So this installation instruction right here will essentially do that. Sudo pacman-s, then the $, and then in parentheses pacman-slq Unity-for-Arch. And like I said, that will install everything from that particular repository. And basically at that point, you have installed Unity. You can go and reboot, and when you get to lightdm to log in, you will need to select Unity for the desktop environment as opposed to Openbox. But from that point on, you've got Unity running. So now that we've got Unity installed, let's look at a few things that might make life a little bit easier working with it. First of all, if you want a graphical package installer, and this is not specific for Unity, but just Arch in general, the AUR has both PAMIC and Octopi from I believe both were developed by the Manjaro team, but both are available in the AUR. You can install either one of them, give you a package manager. I have PAMIC installed. I'm going to go and fire it up here. And that might make life a little bit easier for you if you want to have a graphical environment for package installation. But the main reason I wanted to start up, we can take a look at the repositories and look at what is in this Unity-for-Arch extras. And let me just show you what I installed myself. The Ubuntu account services, and then after that I installed this Ubuntu default settings, which basically installs the Ubuntu sounds, themes, wallpapers. I installed the CPU frequency indicator just to play around with that a little bit. That's something that you might be interested in doing on a laptop. Probably not a big deal if you're on a desktop, but you can go and set the you can set your CPU for either a on-demand setting or a performance setting, which is basically continuously throttled. But anyway, so that's a few of the things that I installed. But kind of going through the list here, there's a lot of other stuff that's available that you might want to install. This one right here is kind of interesting if you use Thunderbird for your email. A Thunderbird messaging indicator. Basically, you'll get a little indicator up in here in your top bar that will tell you about Thunderbird messages coming in. So that might be something interesting to you. But you can kind of look it through what's in these extra packages, see if there's anything that might tickle your fancy, or so to speak. But not a huge number of things in there, but a few things that might be of interest. Now, UnityTweakTool. Interesting thing with this, if you've never used it before, I believe it's a fork of GNOME-TweakTool. And let me just fire it up. And so it allows you to make various settings to the launchers, how your search works, the panel, lets you tweak your themes, icons, window, all kinds of stuff. Now, when I initially installed this, um, it would not work for me. I would get an error message about a configuration file, and I made myself some notes in here about how to fix that. And once again, I'll leave all this down below in the video description. But basically, beginning in, I think, Ubuntu 15.04, they changed a reference name from, it used to be org.gnome.settings, daemon.peripherals.touchpad, and they changed that to org.gnome.desktop.peripherals.touchpad. So you need to go and once again, you'll need you're going to need root privileges to do this, but you can do a sudo gedit and then open up the there's basically two configuration files, and you'll need to go and change the references in there. And well, here, I'll just put it in so you can see what you're going to need to do. Copy that. So you put that in, it'll ask for your password. Get that out of the way. Drag this up here. And I listed what line numbers each of these changes are going to be at. So let's go to the first one. Go to line 182. And basically right here where it lists the schema, you're going to need to go and change that as I indicated in my notes right over here. So you'll need to go and do that, save it, close it, and then one other file that you'll basically do the same thing, save it. Now UnityTweakTool works. I mentioned earlier there's a few things that I don't like about Unity. One of them is the default theming. I've never liked all that orange and whatnot that's included in the default theming. Luckily, very easy to change that with a new theme. And if you go digging around in the AUR, there's a theme called Arc, and there's actually 3 different versions of it. That's what I'm running here right now. There's Arc, which is like that. We've got Arc Dark, which is all dark. To me, that's a little too dark. What I run into is I think readability suffers on some applications like LibreOffice and whatnot. I've gone with this Arc Darker, which is kind of the best compromise, at least for me. So I went with that. And then for icons, I'm running the ultra flat icon set. Both of those you will find in the AUR. And personally, I really like both of those themes. Going back to the themes, Arc was developed by the same person that did the Vertex theme, which is very similar. A little bit lighter, a little bit different on your opening and closing. You can see there's a couple different versions of Vertex as well. So maybe take a look at that as well. But like I said, default theming is one of the things that I do not like, and that switching to those themes that really helped me out. So other problems that I ran into. Let me go and open up system settings here, and there's workarounds for a lot of this. But as you can see, a lot of white space here because we're missing a few categories. We're missing system settings, or not, I'm sorry, not system settings, but online account integration. We're missing startup applications, a few other things. But, I was doing a little searching online, and one resource that I found, and unfortunately it was about 2 years old, and with the pace that that Unity-for-Arch is developing, I'm not sure how accurate it was. It was saying that a solution for a lot of this was to go and install GNOME Shell. Okay, fair enough, except that when I tried doing that, we have unmet dependencies because the when we install Unity here, a lot of like GTK2, GTK3, some other, I guess you can consider them GNOME dependencies, they've been replaced with Ubuntu patched versions, and they don't necessarily play nice with GNOME Shell. So that was kind of a dead end, and I really didn't want to go and try and install GNOME Shell and ignore the dependencies and break the whole system at the point that I was at. So, a little more work to try to, figure out how I can resolve some of these issues. Now, a lot of this, there are workarounds in that. One, you can open up dconf editor if you haven't installed it. Install dconf editor, and if you're not familiar with it. And everything here is text based, but you can go and tweak just all kinds of settings. So stuff to do with your desktop, with the desktop. Go to org gnome and then down to desktop, and from here you can tweak all kinds of stuff. Obviously not much of an interface here, but it does allow you to make some changes there. So there's one option right there. If you're comfortable making changes to the actual configuration files, go right ahead and do that. I did that for my startup applications because that's something that I've done in other distributions in the past. So that really wasn't much of a problem. Now, one thing I ran into, the little indicator up here for what keyboard language I'm running right now. Normally, you can get rid of that icon if you don't want to have it up there, and you do that through the keyboard settings in system settings. But what I found out was when I click on keyboard settings, the whole system settings thing crashes on me. So there's something there that's I'm missing something, or there's a conflict somewhere. So that was not working correctly for me. Like I said, it's not that big of a deal to have have that little icon up there. And actually, I was able to, going through dconf editor, I was able to get rid of the icon, but then as soon as I rebooted my system, it was back again. So why it's not, why that change isn't staying, I'm not exactly sure. Performance wise, things have been pretty good. I mentioned there were a couple of random crashes, mostly with the file manager. Nothing really big. It was just a matter of, it crashed, and then I started it back up again, and everything was fine. The everything as far as the dash searching works. All that works. If you want to go and use the heads up display, which is the Alt key, you can use that. Um, that's what you get right there. Um, so that works fine. The Unity lenses are installed, so you can pick and choose what you want to show up in the dash when you're doing a dash search. So all that kind of stuff works. Um, and it doesn't lag or anything like that. As far as how fast the dash works, it's just as good, if not better, than Ubuntu is. Um, so no issues or problems there. Memory wise, I think baseline I was running 650 to 700 megs of RAM. Looking at my system monitor right here, I'm running 1.6 gigs right now. But that is with, I've got GUVC view running, UnityTweakTool, simple screen recorder, 2 instances of Midori, gedit, the system monitor. I mean, I got all kinds of stuff running, as well as a few background services. So, memory wise, things are fine. CPU is about where I'd expect it to. Um, Baseline, it was barely idling along. I mean, it's running fairly heavy right now, but that's because of essentially the screen recorder and the webcam. But yeah, performance wise, been pretty good. Well, that just about finishes this video up. One question I'm going to throw out there for all my regular viewers, well, everybody, as well, but especially the regular viewers. I've been thinking about doing some more videos on how to do custom setups on Arch, although I guess really every setup in Arch is custom. But, if there's a certain desktop environment that's not one of the regular packages, or, anything like that that you'd like to see, leave me a message down below or contact me through a Google Plus, and let me know what you like to see. And, if it's a video I can pull off, I'll do it. But anyway, that's about it. Leave comments, questions, all that kind of stuff down below. I will try to get to those as soon as possible. As always, if you like the video, give us a big old thumbs up. If you're not a subscriber, please subscribe. And I hope to see you all on my next video. Thanks a lot.